You're listening to A Scary State, and this week we're covering Utah. So, Lauren?
Yes, Nora.
Let's get scary.
My gosh, I have not seen you in forever.
I know. What is it, like 6 days? This never happens.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We
saw
see
you 6 days
Oh,
ago.
yeah. I was trying to support that.
Okay, we haven't recorded in forever, so I feel like I haven't been able to fill you in on things forever.
Yeah, usually we see each other like every few days at least.
So this was a long one. This was a long time we haven't seen each other.
Yeah, definitely. So before we start getting into the state facts, Lauren wants to update some of her cases. I'm sure most of you have heard about this, but take it away, Lauren.
All right, so I'll get to that one in a second.
Oh, sorry.
So first, okay, so I wanted to cover something that hits a little close to home, and I was debating about sharing this on the podcast, and then I went back and forth between doing it, and then I decided to do it. Okay, so do you remember how I told you a couple months ago how that guy I went to high school with went missing?
Yeah.
Okay, so the story, I went to school with this guy, like middle school, high school. We weren't in the same friend group, but we were friendly. Like, we knew each other. We grew up with each other. So he went hiking back on February 3rd in Boulder County in Colorado with his dog, Happy. 8 days later, he hadn't contacted anyone, and his dog was found miles from where they had started their hike. So he's been missing since February 3rd. Well, a couple days ago, around July 4th, some search volunteers and their canine found human remains, which were later confirmed to be his.
They were confirmed?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So his exact cause of death is still under investigation. So it's very sad because we went to school with him. Like, we knew this dude. So, yeah, it just kind of shows how dangerous hiking is and how, you know, a seemingly normal day can all of a sudden just not
and
be
you
good.
just never think that that would happen to someone you know. Like, you hear stories and it's like you feel like that sympathy, but to actually know someone who that happened to is just a whole other level.
So I just wanted to say that we're thinking about him, his family, his friends, just everyone who, you know, everyone whose lives he touched. And so, yeah, I just wanted to give an update about that because we did cover Colorado and I did cover how dangerous hiking can be. So it was just, very sad. So now on to something, I guess not more lighthearted, but so I covered Wisconsin, right? And I covered the Slender Man case. Well, I won't go over the entire case, but if you haven't listened to it, please go back and listen to our Wisconsin case. It's just a couple before this one. That's where I cover the whole Slender Man stabbing and everything that went along with that. So the two girls who were charged with the stabbing were Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier. So Morgan was sentenced to her 40 years at a mental hospital to receive treatment and monitoring. Last I checked, she's still there. But Anissa, she was sentenced to 25 years at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute and would have to spend a minimum of 3 years there before she could seek community supervised release. Well, when I covered this episode and I was doing the research, they said they were going to come to a decision on June 11th. On June 11th, they hadn't come to a decision. I could not find anything. Well, then July 5th rolls around just like a couple days ago, and it's decided that she will be released after serving less than 7 years.
Which is insane.
So back in March, Anissa asked for a conditional release, stating that she has exhausted all of the options available for her at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute, and Judge Boren, the original judge of the case, finally approved it. So I found a quote from him. It goes, quote, "The court does not find that there's clear and convincing evidence that Anissa Weier poses a significant threat of bodily harm to herself or others or serious property damage. I'll grant the petition for conditional release." He also says that Weier has a clean mental health history other than with her role in the stabbing, and that she is, quote, "functioning very well at the institute she is being treated at."
You beg my pardon?
Okay, maybe she has great mental health now, like maybe she got the medicine and the treatment she needed. But I'm sorry, you were involved in a stabbing of your friend where you stabbed her 19 times.
Yeah. I feel like you can't just be like cured from that or able to escape the consequences of that after 7 years.
So prosecutors are kind of where we are on this, and they countered that. They believe that Weier is still dangerous and may make friends with the wrong crowd if she's released.
Yeah, she obviously is very influenced by things.
Exactly. Yeah, so she'll be released, or she won't be released until her next hearing, which is set for September 10th. So at this hearing, the hospital she's staying at will present to the court their plan for her release, which will include tracking her for the remainder of her sentence, which will be until she's 37. So, I mean, like, I don't know.
I feel like nothing bad could come from her being locked up for like a while longer.
Yeah.
Nothing, but then if you release her, so much bad could happen.
Mm-hmm. Wire says that after her release, she plans to live with her dad and look for a part-time job. She also plans to attend college, as she was able to obtain her high school diploma, I guess, while at the Health Institute, which again is great, but I don't know.
I just don't have a good feeling about
I'm
this
just
one.
shocked. And what's crazy is, okay, so one of our listeners, their name is Noah, we were chatting over Messenger about this case like the day before all of this information came out.
Mm-hmm.
And both me and they were like, we were both saying like, we don't believe she should be released. This is not going to be good. This is not going to be safe. And then the next day, this news comes out.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I
Like,
just don't like that.
I get wanting to give her life back kind of thing. Because, yes, she was young when everything happened. But at the same time, it just shows how easily manipulated she can be. And that's just not safe.
And what about Peyton's life?
Yes.
Like, not only does she have physical memories of that because of all the stab wound scars, but also she's going to have to be in therapy for much longer than the 7 years that Nisa has. That's crazy.
And I read one of the articles I was reading was saying that they called the last number they had for Peyton, but whoever answered the phone refused to talk. Yeah.
Wow. So she probably is like, I cannot talk about this. I mean, why would she want to talk about literally one of the worst pieces of news ever?
And when I was doing our research for Wisconsin, I read something that said, like, Peyton has a really hard time making friends because you just can't trust anyone anymore.
Wow.
Which makes total sense.
Yeah. And remind me, was Peyton the new one who was looking for friends, or was
So
Anissa?
Peyton and Morgan became friends.
Oh.
And then Anissa was kind of the one to join the group.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So Morgan's still in jail.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she's at a mental health facility because, you know, she had the delusions and just... So she's still where she is. I have a feeling she will not be released anytime soon because she's like the mastermind of everything and she was the one behind everything. But
Yeah.
whew.
Wow.
So yeah, those are my little pieces of news. Like we said, we would update you guys when new true crime news comes out with anything related to our cases.
And I had something happen to me over the 4th of July weekend, and I didn't tell you about it yet because I wanted to tell you here.
Oh, God.
It's nothing crazy, but I went to, you know how I went tubing? If you're not from this area, like, I lived in Pennsylvania, and everyone was like, you mean snow tubing? I'm like, no, like tubing down the river in a blow up, like,
That's such
float.
a common thing in Virginia.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what tubing is.
Exactly.
Everyone goes tubing.
Yeah, so I was water tubing, and we were with, like, you know, a group of 10 people, and one of the guys in the group, he starts telling me about his job. And I'm not kidding. This man had the most fascinating job, or he has the most fascinating job. He's basically a locksmith, but part of his job is going to prisons and fixing the locks on the prison doors.
Ooh.
And he had like crazy stories about the locks. And then he also changes the locks at crime scenes, like right after they're happening.
Ooh, I just got chills. That's so cool.
He was like, I can't tell you how many dead bodies I've seen. And he was just telling me about like all of the craziness that his job entails.
Oh.
He has to like secure crime scenes by changing locks and evicting people. He has to change the locks. So he has crazy stories from that. People threatening his life.
Oh my God.
So I was like, literally, can we have you on our podcast and like just hear about things that you've seen?
Or just write them all down and we will read everything.
So, and then Lauren and I were just talking right before we started recording this episode about how later in the year we want to have like a few bonus episodes.
During spooky season.
Yes. So I think that would be so cool to just have like a 2-hour interview with him.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because it was like a lot of things that I had never known about, never heard about. And the whole time I was like, oh my gosh, I want Lauren and all of our listeners to hear this. Like, don't tell me more. Like, you need to save it.
And his job, now that you mention it, that's never something I would have thought about a crime scene, like having to change the locks.
Yeah.
Like, that makes so much sense,
Exactly.
but never would have thought of that.
Yeah, or having to like get into a house.
Yeah.
When a crime happened. Like, he's like with the police a lot.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I cannot wait. His name is Doug. So So,
hey, Doug.
Yeah, so I can't wait to interview him.
Oh my gosh.
I was getting shivers when he was talking.
Oh my god,
about
that'll
it.
be so fun.
Yeah, so that's my exciting news.
That is exciting.
I know. So we can we can talk more later. But yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, no, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love spooky season.
Loves it.
All right, so to get to some spooky stuff, I'll cover some of the stuff about Utah. So Utah, nicknamed the Beehive State, joined the Union on January 4th, 1896, and became the 45th state in the U.S. It got its name from the first people who lived there, the Native Americans, who called themselves Nochi, which meant the people. But the first European settlers in this area called the Native Americans meat eaters, which translated to Utah, and I don't think that's meant in any mean way. Some weird laws. So it is illegal to swear in Logan. Also, fighting words are illegal. Me and my brother would be in so much trouble. We look at each other and go, "What's up, punk?" If you cause a, quote, catastrophe, you could be facing a second-degree felony charge. And in Utah, it is illegal to detonate a nuclear weapon. So,
wow.
Good. Oh, do you know what a Davenport is?
I knew someone with that last name, but I don't know
too.
what it actually is.
So in Utah, it's a couch or a sofa.
Huh.
Yeah. Utah is part of the Four Corners, along with Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. We mentioned that when we covered New Mexico. Utah's Great Salt Lake is saltier than the ocean. So salty that if you were to boil 1 quart of water, a half cup of salt would remain. Cue salty joke from Nora.
I was thinking of one.
And this is a quote from factretriever.com, which it was just too cool for me to try to condense down. So the FBI holds various Utah secrets in its vault, including UFO sightings in Utah, snooping into whether the Utah NAACP had been infiltrated by communists, a death threat in Utah against Lady Bird Johnson, information on serial killer Ted Bundy, and former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover's dislike for Cleon Skousen, who has become an important figure in today's Tea Party movement.
Huh.
So I just thought that was too cool to try to make in my own words.
Yeah.
And then in Utah, there have been 3 identified serial killers.
Wow. All right. So today I'm going to talk about the Escalante Petrified Forest State Park.
Okay.
It's a long word. It's a long title, but it is a very interesting story. So this state park is known as one of Utah's most underappreciated state parks. And it has these things called petrified trees that are millions of years old.
Mm-hmm.
So the park is located in southern Utah and actually extends into northern Arizona. And the petrified wood that comes from the petrified trees in the forest are super pretty colors. They're shades of red, black, yellow, white. And the wood is super rare because it has been mineralized into rocks for millions of years. And it just looks really cool. I have pictures that I'll post on our Instagram.
Oh, definitely.
Of it. So you'll hear me talk about interchangeably tree and rock. It's kind of like a rock. It looks like a rock, but it's technically just a super, super old tree.
Okay.
Of petrified wood in this forest. So it's pretty awesome. And it brings in visitors around the world because everyone wants to see it and see what it looks like. I mean, the pictures, I'm sure, don't even do it justice. All right. So now on to this petrifying story. Visitors will definitely want to leave the petrified wood where it is in the park. Why, you ask?
I do ask.
Cool. Because people say that there's an ancient curse if you take any of the wood home with you.
Oh, things like this creep me out so much.
Same.
Okay, real quick side story. Mm-hmm. So it kind of relates. So I tell Joe all the time he needs to get his aura fluffed or something because I just think he has really bad luck. And I think it's because, one podcast I was listening to was talking about Hawaii and how it's bad luck to bring any sand from Hawaii back home with you. Well, when Joe went to Hawaii, he brought sand back with him, not knowing and just, in one of the little souvenir things. And so I think that's where all the bad luck's coming from.
Probably. Mm-hmm. He needs to fly back to Hawaii and
drop it off.
Yeah.
Yes. And we want to do a mini moon because, for our honeymoon, we want to go to Europe and it's not safe right now with COVID. And so we want to go to New Orleans for a mini moon. And I'm going to be like, we're getting your aura fluff down in New Orleans.
Yes, absolutely. I honestly do believe in that.
100%.
I mean, I think sometimes when you look at luck, you have to think about, okay, what can I control? Mm-hmm. And then what is out of my control? You know, because some of it's like, okay, I could control this, but some of it's like, okay, the universe is doing something here.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just, we ordered Chipotle once. It showed up on my time hop from last year. We ordered Chipotle. We got DoorDash, they delivered it, whatever. The bag said our name, but inside they had put the wrong orders inside. And it's not even like it was like a fun new order I could try. No, this person ordered chicken and rice.
Ew.
I know. I was like, okay, I could have handled, having a fun meal. No.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
And it's just like little things like that all the time.
Yeah.
So we're just going, get the aura fluffed.
Yes, absolutely. I'm all for it.
Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Okay, there we go. People say that there's an ancient curse if you take any of the wood home with you. There have been multiple accounts of people experiencing bad luck, sickness, and accidents shortly after removing the petrified wood from the park. And it's also illegal to remove it, so there's that.
Okay, there's that too.
But dozens of people dismiss the law and the legend behind it and take keepsakes home with them. But it's only a matter of time before bad luck comes their way. In 2014, the park's manager named Kendall Farnsworth stated that he actually gets about a dozen packages every year containing a piece of wood from the park and an apologetic letter detailing the sender's misfortunes.
Okay, there's so many places like this, and I just think that is so funny.
I know.
Like Robert the doll, who I will never talk badly about. No, because...
Is this real?
Yes. No, I'm literally not kidding.
I'm laughing with you, Robert, not at you.
Yeah, no, people, if you enter his room, he's at a museum in, like, the Keys in Florida. And if you enter his room, you're supposed to say hi. You're supposed to ask if you can take a picture with him. And then you're supposed to say bye when you leave. You have to be very respectful. Well, there have been people who have, like, not taken it seriously, thought it was a joke, took a picture, left, whatever. And then bad luck, bad misfortune and everything. So they've sent letters back saying, like, I am so sorry. Here's the picture I took. It's deleted off my phone. I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. And then their life changes.
Wow. Okay, I just have to say, our road trip, I would rather not even go to places where I could have bad luck come with me.
I'm on board with that.
I feel like there's so many cool things we could do on our trip, and that is like, I would rather just not even go there. What if I accidentally snub Robert? And,
without knowing it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, real quick, super quick. The Bell Witch Cave also is like that. It's in Kentucky or Tennessee. And you can't take anything from there. So even if you step on a rock and a rock gets lodged in your shoe and you take that with you, that's considered bad luck.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the place we're just not even going to go.
Wow.
Scary.
Knowing us, we would have like rocks all in our shoes and like
because we're really good hikers.
I know. We wouldn't even have the right shoes on.
God.
Okay. The letters all contained apologies for ignoring the curse. And basically these people are just like desperately begging for forgiveness and hoping the curse will go away in the letters. And the visitors who stole the petrified rocks reported experiencing everything from losing their jobs to car accidents, among other various injuries and mishaps.
That's so scary.
I know. One letter accompanying the rock said, quote, I picked up this small piece of wood when I visited last year. I thought the warnings were phony. Since that time, I've had 3 accidents. End quote.
Never believe the warnings are phony.
I know. The apologetic letter writer went on to describe a series of accidents, injuries, and misfortunes, including a broken collarbone, 3 broken ribs, a broken foot, not to mention a fire in his motorhome and the fact that the engine in his car, quote, went south shortly after the warranty expired.
Oh my gosh.
That's just bad luck.
Oh my gosh.
All of that, he believes, was payback for defying the curse. I'm a true believer, he concludes, asking park officials to right his wrong. Please take this back.
Wow.
Yeah. Another letter stated, quote, I would advise anyone who thinks lightly of the bad luck to think again. Please place these back in their rightful place and ask for my forgiveness. Let's just say I learned my lesson. End quote.
Dang.
So if you guys still don't believe me that the forest is cursed, I have a few more excerpts from letters. So a 2004 letter signed by Rasper Kudishili of Basel, Switzerland reads, quote, Since my travel 3 years ago, I had no good luck in my life, but every year an accident or a disease. I hope with this act of restitution, the Lord will have mercy upon me. I apologize and beg your pardon. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Isn't that so intense?
Wow.
Yeah. Another writer says, I usually don't believe in this kind of stuff, but I have experienced a much higher than normal rate of bad luck since taking the wood pieces. My deepest apologies. This other cursed writer letter warns, I would advise anyone who thinks lightly of the bad luck to think again. Please place these back in their rightful place. Let's just say I've learned my lesson.
Wow.
And finally, someone else says, my life has been totally destroyed since we've been back from vacation. Please put these back so my life can get back to normal. Let me start over again.
Jeez.
Okay. So this next legend of the curse is pretty wild. So the legend says that the park received an envelope, and the envelope was addressed directly to the park, the Escalante Petrified Forest State Park, and the letter came from Arizona.
Okay.
So back in Arizona, when the man was mailing this letter and getting it ready, he had put the stolen small chunk of wood inside, weighing just under 12 ounces. Then he ripped off the strip of paper covering the glue, folded the envelope at its crease, he unbuckled his seatbelt, got out of his truck, and the hood was bent in with an SUV smoking next to him. That SUV had just T-boned him at an intersection. He began limping to the post office, his ankle sprained, and he had blood running down his temple.
Oh my God, I can picture it.
His collar was broken, I'm assuming from the accident. And he heard someone yell behind him, but he kept going. He was just trying to get this dang piece of wood to the mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
He continued down the sidewalk, his cowboy boots clicking. He turned left, then right at the intersection, past the Chevron. It was really hot out, the Arizona sun beating, the smell of car exhaust, and the blue roof of the post office finally came into view. He continued through the parking lot and entered through the double set of glass doors, opened the mailbox slot for the small envelopes, dropped the envelope inside, and collapsed on the floor.
Oh my God.
Sorry. This was the most dramatic account. I had to share it.
I literally was watching that as a movie scene.
Okay. Apparently the letter he mailed read, quote, I am returning something that belongs to you. Bad luck or a coincidence? I didn't believe that something could give someone bad luck. It took 3 years to convince me, but here's what broke the camel's back. After a long list of coincidences, I decided that each event that happened to me was starting to look more and more like bad luck. The final straw was when I stepped through the ceiling of our new house. That's when I told my wife, I've had enough. I'm sending it back, end quote.
Oh my gosh.
Now rewind 3 years before this man's cursed rock experience. A group of teenagers were in the park, and at first they thought that this was just another rock, red, yellow, orange, blues, blacks, all around a creamy white color.
Mm-hmm.
It's all swirled kind of.
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it is really pretty.
You'll have to show me after.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a petrified piece of wood, and this chunk of wood had 5 points and measured 4 inches thick with a slightly larger diameter. The bark was frozen, the surface polished, the weight light as a leaf, so it's just gorgeous and pretty easy to take, if no one's looking.
Yeah.
A girl named Carmela picked a small chunk off the ground, first followed by Ahmed, Maria, and eventually Brennan, even though the sign at the trailhead had strictly warned not to disturb the ecological surroundings in any way, including the theft of fossilized pieces of wood, which was strictly illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And this story, by the way, ties to the man's story that I told. Finally, only took 3 miles of walking, said Carmela, and she's holding the rock against the sun. And then her friend Ahmed says, I know, I didn't think we were going to find any. The 4 of them slung their packs down and gulped a bunch of water. And then Maria said, can't wait to take some home and show Lisa.
No.
Brennan said no. The 3 of them looked at him startled. Drop the wood.
Okay, good boy.
What? Why? And then he says, I just remembered, these rocks are cursed. And someone says, they're not rocks. And Brennan says, I mean wood, whatever. The petrified wood, people steal it, and then weird shit starts to happen to them. They get in accidents, go bankrupt, get mysterious illnesses, break their collarbones and shit. Someone says, I don't believe you. And then he says, no, it's true. I read about it in the news. People will even mail back the pieces they stole to break the curse. And then they just say, whatever. Carmela grabs her granola bar and starts eating it. She's just over it. And then Brennan says, guys, seriously, put the rock down. And then Ahmed says, fine, okay. We just wanted to see what they looked like in person. I mean, that's why we drove and hiked all the way here, right? To see petrified forest and petrified wood. And Brennan says, yeah, of course. I mean, just don't take them home. And then they're like, fine. So the 4 of them sipped on water and munched on crackers, cheese, and trail mix, and the sun began to descend, clouds began to roll and casting a shadow over the sage and juniper. The heat of the early morning began to dissipate in the late fall afternoon, the air turning cold and crisp and the shadows descending. Well, shall we, said Ahmed, and he grabs his bag, and the rest of them grumbled in agreement. You guys first, said Carmela. I have to use the facilities.
I don't believe her.
As the three of them marched on, Carmela walked around the bend in the trail, turning to make sure that they were gone, and picked up one of the pieces of petrified wood and placed it in her pocket.
No.
The four of them wound back down the trail, and the return journey was mostly downhill, so it wouldn't take as much time. They climbed into the Jeep and sped off back towards home. Nothing would happen, Carmela thought, riding in the back of the Jeep. She was sure of it. She thought her dad would appreciate it. Her dad, who lives in Arizona. Her dad, who always wears cowboy boots that click in the pavement.
Stop.
Yeah, so that's apparently one of the stories.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
This man didn't even ask for it. His daughter brought it home.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So stories like this of the bad luck related to the stolen wood went back to the 1930s. There's no like central source of the origin, according to Legends of America, but apparently people have like similar accounts to this.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then Jamie Skidmore, who's a manager with the Utah State Parks, said that some visitors really do take pieces of the wood home with them. And she actually understands why. And she says like they're beautiful. Some of them are actually really spectacular. It's an issue that park managers wish wouldn't happen because people take the petrified wood and then less rocks for future visitors. That's why it's like when you go there, it's becoming harder and harder to find the petrified wood.
Oh.
And like it's never like right on the trail. Like you have to like go into the woods and like actually search for it.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah. Or go farther, you know, so it's not like easily accessible anymore as often.
Yeah.
So she adds, those are the pieces that nobody else is ever going to see because chances are they're hiding in somebody's closet in a rock box somewhere because there's less rocks and the really good ones have been stolen.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. There's even signs warning visitors the park is under video surveillance and to not collect anything. And some visitors may think taking one little piece won't do any harm, but Jamie says that's not the case. She basically like begs people not to take them. And she said that that's probably why some visitors who took rocks sent them back with letters saying sorry.
Yeah.
Because she's received letters too and packages.
Jeez.
And she said that guilt can be a powerful motivator. She shared some stories from the letters she's gotten. And one of them was about a woman who picked up a few pieces. Her daughter was returning them and she had actually gotten terminal cancer. Yeah.
Oh.
So Jamie shared that all the letters that came in with the stolen rocks asked park rangers to put them back where they belong. One rock was 30 pounds that a guy bought from another visitor after seeing it on a trail. And the letter came back and basically said, it's worth it for me to have paid for it and paid for the shipping to get it back to you so that I do not experience this curse anymore.
Oh my gosh.
So the park has even received letters from some people saying that after they returned those petrified rocks, their good luck came back.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Jamie believes that this is like an indicator that if you do something you shouldn't and you make it right, your luck will return, like outside of the rocks, just like anything in life.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is that even the most law-abiding and curse-free people on the planet will have bad luck sometimes, and that's definitely the case at this park because some people who visited but never stole anything or like any petrified wood or anything have bad luck after visiting the park.
Okay, I was like, oh, let's go visit the park. Let's look at the cool petrified rocks. That'll be really pretty. And then you tell me that, and I'm like, you know what? Never mind.
That's why I was like, we cannot go here because I cannot take that risk.
No, thank you.
So the alleged curse evidently has not majorly deterred visitors from plundering the state park, and the parking lot and campgrounds have been picked clean because, like I said, anything close to where people are, people will just take it anyways. So basically the greediest visitors are also the laziest because they just grab it because it's so easy right there. So in that same interview, the park manager, Kendall, who I talked about earlier, says it's illegal. It's illegal to take anything out of a state park. And Kendall isn't the only one trying to deter thieves. Park officials put a display in the park visitor center that is clearly intended to give fair warning. In a glass exhibit case, they have placed a collection of letters that have been sent in over the years begging for forgiveness. He says a lot of it does come down to guilt, and guilt is a great equalizer.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I wanted to share the story because don't be an asshole and steal things that aren't yours.
Yeah, don't go to this national park either.
Exactly.
Oh no, go because national parks are great, but don't take anything.
Just be careful if you go. Like, know what you're getting into. And then also, I needed something a little lighter than my last few cases.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel like this story was just so like...
No, it's so interesting. Yeah. I find the cursed things so fascinating. And when there's so many stories where people are like, nah, my bad luck is literally from this, and then send it back, it's so cool.
Yeah, or like, I think it's so interesting, and I want to do a case eventually on bad luck that goes through generations.
Ooh.
Like, do you remember the movie Holes?
Yeah.
And the bad luck that went through because the thing that happened. Yeah.
Stanley Yelnats or whatever.
Yes. It's so, I just think it's interesting to at least like hear about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. That'd be a good one.
Hey everyone, have you ever had the idea to start your own podcast but had no idea where to start? We had no idea either until we found Buzzsprout.
It is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Buzzsprout has made our experience with podcasting both fun and stress-free by listing our show on all major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, just to name a few.
You'll get a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how and where people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and much more.
Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know we sent you, gets you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan, and helps support our show.
Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout.
And remember to stay scary.
Stay safe. Yeah. So what are you talking about?
Oh, well, mine's not that cool. Well, it's still kind of cool. All right, so I'm talking about a hotel. So this hotel, the Reed Hotel, was a 5-story brick and stone building built in 1891 on the corner of 25th Street and Washington Boulevard in Ogden, Utah. So its address is 2510 Washington Boulevard. This hotel is considered to be one of the 3 grand hotels in Utah. The other 2 are the New House, which has been demolished, and the Hotel Utah, which is now the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, both of which are located in Salt Lake City. But this hotel is the only one still operating as a hotel. It is even placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1990. So this area at the time was called Junction City, as it had a network of railroads and short lines as well as underground tunnels. And you know we love our underground tunnels.
Yeah.
So this area was a hub for agricultural, livestock, and industrial activity. And at the time, it was run by 2 Missouri hoteliers. You should know this word. Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And the hotel mainly catered to businessmen and tourists, those who were in the area to trade and for travel. So in 1916, the ground floor of the hotel was made up of shops in the Ogden State Bank. The bank was owned by H.C. and A.P. Bigelow. The 5th floor was a dining room that offered a panoramic view of the Wasatch Range and the Great Salt Lake. Whoa. And only 10 years later, in 1926, A.P. Bigelow purchased the Reed Hotel. From this, and with the help of over 300 stockholders, because it was estimated to cost about $1,250,000 to complete, Bigelow constructed a luxury hotel that was considered community-backed. So that amount I said, the $1 million amount, is equal to today's money of $3,679,011.
Wow.
Yeah. So at this point, the building was renamed the Bigelow. Architectural firm Hodgson and McClenahan designed the new Bigelow in the Italian Renaissance Revival style. It was built to be fireproof and was designed to show Ogden as a prosperous place. So quick side note, Hodgson and McClenahan also designed many other buildings in and around Ogden. 2 of those buildings are also known as being haunted.
Ooh.
So one is Perry's Egyptian Theater, located at 2415 Washington Boulevard in Ogden.
I bet that's so cool.
Oh yeah, the description just sounded awesome. So it was right down the road from the hotel, so I didn't go too much into it, but brothers Harmon W. Perry and Lewis H. Perry wanted to build a grand movie palace, which was to be the showplace of the world. So the brothers sought out Leslie H. Hodgson and Merle A. McClenahan, 2 of the best local architects. Mm-hmm. In 1978, the building was added to the National Register of Historic Sites. So there's one main ghost that is said to haunt this theater. Her name is Allison. Supposedly, her father was a construction worker and had been part of the group who had been helping build the theater. One day, she decided to bring her father lunch. Well, an accident occurred on the site. She either fell off a scaffolding she had been climbing on or fell out of a window and landed on the stage.
Oh, geez.
Kind of unclear what actually happened. So her ghost is said to still haunt the theater. She's seen standing near the private viewing boxes. She also likes to play the piano. She turns lights on and off. She's seen climbing on boxes in the back of the theater, and sometimes she'll sit in an empty seat next to a theater patron only to disappear right before their eyes.
I picture like a girl in like a white nightgown with like long black hair.
Yeah.
Something super like just
like two little bows in her hair.
Yeah.
And then another is Ogden High School. Footsteps can be heard late into the evening when no one else is in the building, and some hear laughter, and items have been moved at night. So I thought it was cool that these two architects have designed so many buildings, and 3 of the ones are known as being haunted.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
I wonder if it's like their spirits haunting it.
I don't know. But I mean, that's a good question. I don't know.
Huh.
So back to our hotel. Overall, it was 8 floors and L-shaped with 350 guest rooms, and it was luxurious. Chandeliers hung from the ceilings. Dining rooms were able to accommodate 1,000 guests. The coffee shop had an Arabian theme and air to it. Murals adorned the walls in the Shakespeare room. Like, it was just this incredible place. And in 1928, the Western Democrats Convention was hosted at the Bigelow Hotel. This was when Alfred E. Smith became the Democratic candidate. He's the one who lost to Roosevelt. So this event was covered in the October 3rd issue of Time. And then the market crashed in 1929. The hotel acted as a sort of boarding house for people who came from not the best walks of life. And rumors popped up about those underground tunnels, the ones I mentioned earlier. Many believe that the tunnels went all the way from Union Station to the basement of this hotel. So this would have meant that during Prohibition, alcohol, gambling, and prostitution, their word, not mine, would be easy to access and easy to hide. So apparently it wasn't unusual to see these things happening around the hotel, from criminal activity to, again, not my word, prostitution, to drugs and alcohol being moved around. Then in 1933, the hotel switched owners again when Mariner S. Eccles purchased the Bigelow and renamed it Ben Lomond. So the Ben Lomond is actually a mountain peak. It's known as the monarch of the northern Wasatch and is the main pyramid-shaped peak that is north of Ogden. So it's named in honor of the mountains of like the Scottish Highlands. So Eccles cracked down on the criminal activity that was occurring in the hotel, which helped it lose its dangerous persona. The Ben Lomond continued to serve as a hotel up through the 70s when another recession hit, and due to upkeep being so expensive, the hotel unfortunately closed. In the 1980s, the hotel was put on the market, but no one wanted to buy it, knowing it would be expensive to fix up. But thankfully, in 1985, the Radisson Corps came to the rescue and decided to help bring the hotel back to its former glory.
Oh, good.
Or as close as it could be, like, with price and whatnot.
Yeah.
They took the original 350 rooms and converted them to 120 suites instead. So it now has 23 executive suites, 6 two-bedroom suites, 58 standard suites, and 12 short-stay suites that include a full kitchen.
Wow.
It has party rooms that can accommodate up to 300 guests. They also completed many renovations, and soon enough, the Ben Lomond Hotel was able to reopen as an upscale hotel, now renamed the Ben Lomond Historic Suites. And once it became the Historic Suites, it had a total of 13 floors, with 2 of them being underground.
13?
Which makes this the tallest and largest building in the city. But so with 2 of those floors technically being underground, the top floor is technically the 11th floor. Technically not the 13th floor.
Wait, did you know that in some countries, I think it's Japan, like they will just skip naming it the 13th floor?
A lot of places do that.
Like I just found that out like a few years ago. That's insane.
A lot of hotels do that. It'll be the 12th floor and then the 14th floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just take out the 13th altogether.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
They're like, no playing. You know what? I'm all for that.
I
Like,
am.
no playing.
I
Like,
am
just too. Don't even eliminate the issue before it is
Yes,
one.
exactly. So of course, there have to be ghosts. So just 3 days after the opening of the hotel in 1891, the first death occurred. Mr. William Steele, who was the brother-in-law of one of the owners, was found dead in his bed. He had died from the very common tuberculosis. It's sad because he had moved to Utah recently, thinking that the drier air would help his condition. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Many still feel his presence around the hotel. Then in 1902, the Van Allens had just moved into one of the apartments in the hotel, so back when it was like apartment-y. Miss Tide Helen Van Allen, who was only 38 at the time, suffered from multiple health conditions, so one day while her husband was out, she shot herself in the head.
Oh, that's tragic.
They had occupied 2 rooms on the 3rd floor, so people say they kind of feel her on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Then in September 1921, a cook, Asuki Nakano, died. He had called the elevator, and when the doors opened, he stepped in without looking. No elevator car had arrived, and he fell 3 floors to his death. Now, the elevators will move on their own. going from floor to floor, coming to floors when it hasn't been called, and stopping on certain floors with the door open for long periods of time.
In case you guys haven't noticed, Lauren hates elevators.
I don't think we've mentioned it at all on here.
I don't think we have. I'm like really disturbed that you had to read about that.
See, I was looking for something to cover, and I saw the haunted hotel or the haunted elevator, and I was like, it has to be done. Yeah. It has to be done. On March 9th, 1929, after the hotel had become the Bigelow, Edward Spellman was killed. So the Utah Canners Association, which I have no idea what that is, was hosting their convention at the Bigelow. A man named Dan Rowland, who was attending the convention, had invited some of their friends up to his room to have some drinks before going back down to the ballroom for some dancing. So Edward Spellman had been a guest staying at the hotel for the convention as well and had become friends with Rowland. One of the women, whose husband was also part of the group, had had too much to drink, so decided to just lay down in the room while the rest of the group went downstairs to dance. Mm-hmm. Spellman was reported as going downstairs with the rest of the group. Everything was fine. But at some point in the night, he had come back upstairs to the room and was caught attacking the unconscious woman. Rowland immediately pulled Spellman off, so I guess he went back upstairs too, and was trying to get him back to the elevator into the lobby of the hotel away from the woman. While he wasn't looking, Spellman raised his hand to hit Rowland but missed. Rowland immediately swung back, hitting Spellman in the chin, causing him to fall and smack his head on the wall behind him. This killed him almost instantly.
Wow.
Later, it was discovered that his artery had ruptured. So Rowland was then charged with the murder of Edward Spellman, but he was later acquitted.
Okay, yeah.
So then in 1939, after the hotel became the Ben Lomond, two men, Glenn Jackson and Elmo Chapman, arrived to the hotel and requested...
Elmo?
Yeah.
Sorry.
They arrived to the hotel and requested to be taken up to the top floor. Calmly, they walked down the hallway in the south wing, opened the window at the end of the hall, and jumped to their deaths.
There's a lot of, like, falling and jumping in this story.
So apparently they were both devastated after losing their jobs. Because it was, like, right when the stock market crashed and everything. Like, it was 1939. So after this, 2 more deaths are said to have occurred on the 11th floor, though there has been no proof of either of these, but they're really popular stories of the hotel. The first one was about a just married woman. She was celebrating her honeymoon and somehow drowned in the bathtub in room 1102. No idea where her husband is. Her husband is literally never talked about. So guests who have stayed in this room have reported that the faucet in the tub will just turn on by itself and the tub will attempt to fill up. Others have felt like they've been pushed. They also say there's a very scary presence in the room. The front desk also gets many calls from room 1102, but no one is ever on the other line. Like, ew. And then a woman's lilac perfume is also smelled around the hotel, and it's said to be this woman's perfume. The second death occurred shortly after the first. The woman who drowned, her son, came to the hotel to collect his mother's things. He had been staying in the adjoining room, room 1101, and it said that being so distraught after his mother's death, he completed suicide. So guests who have stayed in this room have reported hearing voices, feeling cold spots, and have even seen the ghost of the man. Yeah, and those are like the 2 most popular haunted rooms.
Yeah.
Then on July 16th, 1951, a local teacher named Donna Anderson was on the 9th floor of the building, went to the window on the north side of the building, and jumped. She landed on top of the roof that was just below.
What the heck?
Yeah. Then, in 1976, on October 24th, the hotel clerk Henry Topping Jr. was found dead in the lobby. It was clear he had been brutally attacked, as he was found in a pool of his own blood with 44 stab wounds. A 15-year-old boy was later convicted for this murder.
Wow. Wait, can I just inject really quickly and just say all of this is reminding me of the case that happened in Northern Virginia with the guy who, like, killed it's reminding me so much of that.
Wait, which one?
So the guy who killed his girlfriend and their 2 kids and her 2 kids.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
This happened like
it was like not even a month ago. Yeah.
And then so he like called the police on himself, but he was at the top of a parking garage and jumped off.
In the Reston Town Center, which is like the big town center where we've been multiple times.
Exactly.
Yeah. He jumped and was found the next morning by people just in the town center.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of that. And apparently, like, I mean, there is a lot of layers to it, but apparently he, like, was a really bad guy to begin with. So it's just so sad.
I remember hearing about that. I think I sent you guys a thing about it, and then you sent the article.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So another story is about Miss Eccles, the wife of the man who purchased the Bigelow, who renamed it to its current name. She lived in the hotel in room 1106, so still on this 11th/13th floor, and had a son who was away fighting in the war. When he was due to return home, she got the horrible news that he had been killed in an accident. Then, out of grief, she also completed suicide. It's said that she still haunts the hotel and will randomly push the elevator buttons. No thank you. Her spirit is also accompanied by the smell of her perfume. But the story also goes another way. So the other story is a prominent citizen whose name is unknown was staying at the hotel, still room 1106, still during World War I, waiting for her son to return from war. On his way home, he was killed in a train accident. His mother was devastated and stopped eating. She eventually died of malnutrition in her hotel room. So either way, creepy stuff happened in that hotel room as well.
Yeah.
So a night security guard at the hotel also shared his story. He said that he often saw ghostly figures around the hotel at night, and that once on the second floor he felt something grab his leg. No, thank you.
Especially if you're like alone at night.
At night in a huge hotel.
No, thank you.
No. And I picture it as him walking around with just a flashlight in the dark, but I feel like there were lights. But
I know, right?
But it's still scary
like,
anyway.
Turn the lights off to save money on bills.
Right.
It's like, no.
So mainly on the 11th floor, but throughout the hotel, guests have reported seeing apparitions, feeling cold spots, hearing voices, and having unseen things brush up against them. So back to the 11th floor, it really is a hotbed of paranormal activity. So much so that the floor is locked to the general public, and only those guests who have a room in that hall have a key that allows them entry. 5 spirits are said to haunt this floor alone. And interesting that, like I said, it's technically the 13th floor because those 2 are underground, but it's known and labeled as the 11th floor. Something suspicious there. The hotel's Facebook page has also posted a photo of an actual ghost caught on tape. This photo was taken back in October 2010. I was gonna go on, but I couldn't. So I wasn't able to look. But currently, this hotel no longer allows paranormal investigation groups to come to the hotel to investigate because apparently hard evidence has already been captured. It hasn't been released. They won't let anyone come back. So I wasn't able to find any of these pictures, sadly. And I also tried to go on YouTube and look up paranormal videos that I could watch because it's really fun to see people do EVPs and everything. But there really wasn't much either. But okay, I did find a video from a guy named Connor Rules. He and his friends were investigating the hotel. Like, they booked a room and decided to just walk around and kind of see what they could find. Well, at one point, Connor and his friends get on the elevator. And what's shocked me, and I know it's normal for other humans, but for me it's not. They're just willy-nilly getting on the elevator and just willy-nilly going on one and going on to another. And I was like,
my gosh.
What does that feel like? To just feel so comfortable that you just walk on elevators.
Oh my gosh. Wait, you can never go in my office building because
Probably not.
The elevator you pretty much have to take.
Yeah.
And it is very shaky. It breaks down.
Oh, no.
I've been in it and been scared.
No.
And I never get scared in elevators. It like sometimes it jolts and I'm like, is the door going to open? I always make sure I have my phone. I shouldn't be telling you this.
I hate all of this.
The point, though, is that, like, they need to fix that because if I ever get caught in that, I will not be happy.
No. There's this elevator at my work, and I had to take it one day, and I really did not like it. But so we get on the elevator, and at where I work, we're not allowed to have our phones with us or, like, any technology. And so we got on the elevator, and if a door doesn't open, the moment I get to my floor, I freak out because I think I'm stuck. So it took, like, a couple seconds to open. But in those few seconds that the door wasn't open, I was like, all right, there's where the phone is. I don't have my phone. We'll use that phone. Does the phone work? I don't know. Are we stuck? We're stuck. I'm going to have to pry the doors open. Like, all this.
There's, like, a button for calling the firefighters, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's a phone, and I've had to use it before.
You have?
Have I not told you the story?
I don't think so.
Okay, real quick. I was at the beach with my family. It was me, my mom, my grandpa, and my best friend, Mackenzie. And we were on the 5th floor. I did not like this elevator. And so I told my mom, I was like, I'll meet you guys downstairs. And she goes, just get on the elevator. And I said, I don't want to. And she goes, Lauren, nothing's going to happen. And I said, no. She forced me on the elevator. So it's the 4 of us in the elevator.
Wait, hold on. So did you have a fear before this?
Yeah, so I didn't like them very much before.
Okay.
Because I had been locked in a room before. It was a whole thing.
Oh.
But
Jared, it's not funny.
Jared and I accidentally used a key. It was a whole thing. But so, anywho, so we're in the elevator. The doors close, and there's this little drop that the elevator does before it starts descending. So I'm waiting for this drop, waiting for the drop. It's not happening. So it's not moving. I look at my mom. She's like, you're fine. And I go, okay. Couple seconds later, we're still not moving. And I look at her, I'm like, Mom. And so she goes to push the door open button. You can hear it trying to open, but it won't open. And so in my mind, I am like, this is the most terrifying thing. Like, this is my fear. So I got on the floor and I started to cry. And so we call my grandma. She's like on the other side of the elevator door.
What's
like,
your grandma gonna do?
She's like, I have a screwdriver.
Oh my gosh.
So what's that gonna do? Nothing. But so at least she knows, like, we're in this elevator. My grandpa's sitting on the floor with me. My nails are digging into his arm. He's trying to just be like, you know. So my mom's like, look, there's a call box. We'll just call. You can see how this whole thing works. The call box had been open, mind you, and I took that as a bad sign because I'm smart, because it had already been stuck earlier in the week. We didn't know this. So we pick up the phone and my mom's like, hi, we're stuck in this elevator here. My daughter has a fear of elevators. Can you tell us where you are so we know when you'll be here? The lady on the phone is, oh, well, we're in Dallas, Texas. And my mom goes, that's really not what I needed to hear. I needed to hear that you were 5 streets down. So she's like, the lady's like, all right, so the elevator's going to get a little hot, so y'all might want to sit down and try pressing all the buttons, turn it off, see if that works. So my mom presses all the buttons. We go down to the 4th floor, 3rd floor, all the way down to the parking garage level. The doors won't open. So the 5th floor button is still lit. So my mom turns off the elevator because she's like, I'm not having that thing take us back up.
Yeah.
And with some superhuman mom strength, she literally pried the doors of the elevator open and we got out.
Wow.
So if I wasn't already terrified of them before, I am petrified. I hate them.
Oh, gosh.
I will go on if I have to, but like my heart rate goes up because I can see it on my watch. All around bad. But so with this elevator that our Connor friend gets in, it makes this noise when the doors were opening and closing, and it was so slow. And I was like, just the elevator is the scariest thing in this entire video. But so the group pressed the button for the 11th floor, and when the elevator stopped, they were on the 13th floor. So I know that it's like the 11th floor is technically the 13th floor, but it literally said 13th floor. It didn't say 11th. And one of the girls said she heard a knocking next to her on the elevator. So then they pushed the button to get down to the 8th floor, and it immediately skipped like 12th and 10th and all these floors. So it was like I don't know, it was a weird video. But so that's really all I found in regards to any videos or anything of this hotel. But yeah, so that's the Ben Lomond Suites in Utah.
A lot happened there.
Oh, yeah.
I have some goosebumps from that.
I know.
Whew. Oh, great. Well, I'm happy about this week's stories because even though, you had some sad parts of yours, I think the scariest part was hearing your story about the elevator.
Well, now everyone will understand my fear.
Yeah.
And when I have
can't
to
believe
be...
I've never heard that.
I really don't know how you haven't either.
It was always just, I hate elevators. And I was like, that's a thing that people...
Never
but you
backed up my
actually
reasons
went
for
through
you.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then my brother and his friend had gone down a little bit before us down to the beach. And we get there like 30 minutes later. Me and Mackenzie are crying and shaking. And my brother's like, what happened to you guys?
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, Jared. But yeah,
Fun fact, they're dating now.
Oh yeah, my brother and my best friend. It's super cute.
Yeah,
it's actually really cute. But yeah, so thanks for listening to us and hearing my elevator hatred. So now when I ask people to take the stairs, they'll know why.
Yes.
Please send us emails, recommendations, anything to ascarystatepodcast@gmail.com.
And check out our Instagram page. It's A Scary State Podcast, and we post pictures and really funny captions.
Your captions are amazing.
Thanks. And then also please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because that helps a lot, and we would really appreciate it.
Yes, and tell your friends about us too.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, and we're in the process of working on a Facebook page. So once we get that all up and running, we'll let you know so you guys can join our Facebook page.
Yeah, and we have a lot of ideas for like upcoming episodes that, are kind of, different, like what we talked about with the locksmith that we'll have on here. Anyways, the point is we have a lot of exciting stuff coming. So we hope that you guys really love it.
All right, so stay scary.
Stay safe.